Sampurita pamita paramita balena Vidvansiyo kila kilesa Samola jalam Teneva landa araham Arahoti namam Vandami buddha mamalam Hadaye tapentvam Samanta cakkavalesu atra gaccantu devatam Saddammang munirajassa sunantu sagga mokkadam Dhammasavana kalo ayam badanta Dhammasavana kalo ayam badanta Dhammasavana kalo ayam badanta Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Suppabuddhaṃ pabujjanti sada gotama savakam Ye sandivācaranto ca bhavanāya rato mano Homage to the exalted one, the worthy one, the perfectly enlightened one. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends in the Dhamma, all of you are warmly welcome. Today we are going to discuss meditation in Buddhism. You know, meditation is a very complex topic in the world because in the name of meditation people do a lot of things. But when you are here, we teach, we learn, we study what is the real path that Buddhism has explained about Buddhism, about meditation. That is very important. We should have clear understanding about Buddhist meditation techniques. That is very important. And then we can understand all meditation techniques in the world, where they are. If we have real understanding Buddhist meditation, then we can understand all meditation in the world. Because this explains everything from beginning to end. Okay, with the results. The main purpose of everyone is happiness. We do everything in the name of happiness. We study, we do jobs, we take care of our children, we feed our children, we help others, we work hard, we do everything in the name of happiness. But unfortunately, day by day, we go away from happiness. What is the reason? When you think your childhood, when you were going to school, you were happier. Before you entered school, you were more happier. You were happier. But day by day, year by year, we did a lot of things in the name of happiness, but unfortunately, we went away from happiness. We should understand what is the reason that we went away from happiness. The main reason is we mostly trusted in outside. We always think that the happiness comes from outside. That is why we trust in outside people and other things. When they change, we got suffering. We get suffering. And according to meditation, we try to train our mind to trust in inside. We fully trust in our mind. And we develop our mind and we purify our mind. We try to create a very strong spiritual mental condition, mind. And then nobody can disturb our peace of mind. Because we have a very strong mind that we have created throughout practice in meditation. And we should understand why suffering arises. According to Buddhism, there are 3 reasons that cause of suffering. And they are, we should understand the negative thoughts, unwholesome thoughts. There are a lot of unwholesome thoughts that arise in our mind. All of them can be included into 3. They are, one of them is greed. Greed, covetousness, lustful desire, those are the synonyms. Attachment. This is one of the reasons that disturb our peace of mind. The next one, what is the next one? Yes, anger, ill will or hatred. When we are angry, even though we are well educated, even though we are very rich, actually we have no inner peace because of anger. This is the second reason. What is the next one? Yes, ignorance or delusion. Delusion or ignorance. According to Buddhism, they are said that Lobha, dosa, moha in Buddha's language. Lobha means greed, dosa means anger, moha means delusion. And what is the greed or attachment? When we see something, actually we experience through our senses. How many senses that we have? We have 6 senses. And they are eyes, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. There are 6 senses. The objects come to our inside. And when we experience something through these 6 senses, if we think it is in outside, and also if we look at those things without reflection, without consideration, without wise reflection, then greed arises. It doesn't mean that, don't misunderstand, Buddhism says beauty is not greed. In Buddha's language it says, Nate kama yani chitrani loke. Beautiful things are not craving or lustful desire. Beauty is beauty, but the craving or greed arises inside. When we have attachment inside, then the craving arises inside. If we have real understanding, wisdom, intelligence, we can experience anything through our senses. But we have no attachment. Without attachment, without lust, without craving, we can experience anything. For example, when we take some medicine, we have no greed. When we buy some gas, we have no attachment, we have no greed or lustful desire about gas. we use those things for our needs without attachment, without craving, then suffering doesn't arise inside. And anger is one of the reasons. When we experience something through our senses about unpleasant things, we get upset. If we can purify our mind from anger by practicing loving kindness, we can overcome anger. When we go to overcome greed, there are several steps in Buddhism. One of them is practicing generosity, offering something to others, giving something to others with kind heart. According to Asian tradition, we are always generous. Every moment we get up thinking to offer something to others. Sometimes in Asian countries, they don't eat anything without giving to next to him. That is one of the traditions. But here it is difficult to practice sometimes. Even when we are at a restaurant, we offer something to others close to us. And also sometimes in villages, in Asian countries, after they cook something, they are waiting to somebody. Please come and join with me to eat something. And even water, we offer something to others. If we can do it after we wash our dishes and plates, we think, may some ants eat this rest of food and may they be well, happy and peaceful. When we wash our plates, dishes and pots, we think that this small food may go to animals, ants. And practicing generosity, offering something to others is one of the techniques that we can use to overcome greed or attachment or craving. On the other side, we contemplate on impurity, the nature of our human life, the nature of our physical body. Even though we are very beautiful, actually it can be changed any time. And also this is the nature of our life. We have to wash our body for several times per day for the purification. For when we are going to purify our body, we have to wash a lot of times in a day. That is the nature of our physical body. If we can reflect on this situation, actually we are able to overcome attachment and lustful desire. It doesn't mean that we go away from people. Actually, when we practice impurity, we are so generous, we are so kind. Now we are close when other people are so beautiful. When they are ugly, we go away. We hate it. Actually, when we are on this path, when we practice loving kindness and compassion, we are more kind than we are before when people have problems, difficulties, diseases, illnesses. Now we mostly are friendly with other people are very beautiful and pretty. When they are ugly, when they have some diseases in their physical body, we are afraid of that. We go away. We think that they are not our friends. This is the nature of our ignorance. But when we develop compassion, loving kindness in purity, actually we are closer than before when people have some problems, diseases, illnesses. This is the nature of practicing Dhamma. And anger, when we are going to practice anger, especially Buddhism has recommended to practice loving kindness. We wish, as we practice today, we contemplate on loving kindness again and again. May all beings be well, happy and peaceful. Not only sit in meditation, when we drive, when we work, when we walk, we can practice, we can think. May all beings be well and happy. When you drive on freeways, If you can practice, may all beings be well, happy and peaceful. Always you are ready to give a space to a person who are front of you. You don't get angry when somebody comes to your line. You think that person like your son. How nice. It means you are you are slow. Actually you go fast. When you drive by practicing loving kindness, then your line may be very clean. And although someone comes to your line, suddenly he goes to another line. Don't worry. And also, when you give a chance to somebody to come to your line, not only one person, several persons go away from your line, then you can go fast. And try to practice it. You can see the result. And also, when we practice loving kindness, we develop positive thoughts. That positive thoughts can bring us happiness. And also that positive thoughts can decrease some negative results that we have done before. That is why we practice loving kindness. Not only keeping our mind in the present moment, we can see the visible result. By practicing loving kindness, we can make a lot of friends. Especially when we practice generosity and loving kindness, we meet a lot of spiritual friends who practice Dhamma, who have a lot of qualities. Actually, if we have good friends who practice a lot of qualities, we are so happy. Not only like friends, we are like our brothers and sisters. And also, we are always ready to help others. Especially, according to Buddhism, the highest benefit that we have in our life is having good friends. Associating good friends is the one of the main reasons that we go on the path of liberation. When we meet good friends, they point out the way how we overcome suffering. When we are greedy, when we have craving, actually we have no inner peace. When we are angry, when our mind is filled with anger, we have no inner peace. If we can overcome these negative thoughts, actually we are so lucky, we are free from suffering. And also, when we see the society, we can see some people who have reduced their greed and anger for a long time, even though they don't practice any religion. It is not difficult. There are some virtuous people in the world. A lot of people in the society, they don't believe in religion. But they always try to reduce their anger. They are generous. They are ready to help others. Not only they offer physical things, material things, that sometimes they are ready to offer their time, valuable time to others. They are ready to listen to others. When somebody explains their suffering, their problems, they are ready to pay their good attention to them. That is also one of the generous. And also there are some people in the world, well-educated people, they are friendly with other people. Sometimes they never get angry. But they don't practice any religion. Because of this practicing, actually they are happy. Their mind is so pure. The reason is, whenever we are happy, it means our mind is pure. Our mind is very pure and calm, especially from greed and anger. According to Buddhism, even though we have no greed and anger, we are not successful, because still we have some kind of sufferings in our life. What they are? Buddhism has realized, discovered, analyzed and proclaimed the main challenges that we have in our life. Have you recognized your challenges in your life? What they are? What are the biggest challenges that we have in our life? Yes, one of them is aging. Aging. Is correct? Yes, aging or decay. Yes. This is one of the major challenges in our life, whether we like or not, whether we believe or not. Even though we try to do a lot of techniques, methods, we can't overcome this challenge. When we are in young age, we are so happy. When we go to old age, actually we have no real suffering. We are suffering. Even though we are well educated, very rich, when our body is going to old age, decay, our suffering goes away. Buddhism explains the way how we overcome this challenge. This is the first one. This is the first one. What is the second challenge that we have in our life? Death. Death is the second challenge that we have. Other challenges are not big or huge. Even though we are very rich, even though our children have lost, those are not the biggest problems in our life. These are the biggest challenges, main challenges in our life. Sometimes we believe only these two things, but Buddhism has announced the other challenge that we have in our life. That is rebirth. Rebirth is also one of the biggest challenge that we have. Not only rebirth. If we will rebirth as a human being, it is okay, but we have a risk that go to down realms, hell. That is the challenge in our life. Sometimes you don't believe it, it doesn't matter, but all of you believe these two things. It is enough. If you don't this thing, don't worry, it doesn't matter. But all of us believe these two challenges in our life. All Buddhist doctrines with meditation focus on how we overcome these challenges. If we can overcome these challenges, actually we are so fortunate we can overcome all other difficulties, problems, challenges in our life. And delusion is the biggest defilement in our life. If we can overcome defilement, if we can overcome delusion or ignorance, it means we are ready to overcome these challenges. We have to practice generosity when we go to overcome greed. We have to practice loving kindness when we are going to overcome anger. What should we do to overcome delusion or ignorance?
Increase our knowledge.
Sorry?
Increase our knowledge.
Yes, that is good. One of them is increase in our knowledge. That is very important. As we mentioned last time, knowledge is very important. Knowledge is very important. Knowledge is one of the things that we should have. That is why Buddha says, I proclaim the liberation for the people who knows the path, who sees the path. Knowledge is very important. Knowledge is wealth. More knowledge, more money in the society, in the Dhamma, in the liberation, in the liberation also like that. More knowledge, more advantages, more practice, more results, more happiness, no suffering. And knowledge is very important. We should have a clear understanding what we practice, where we are going to. When we practice our mind, at the very beginning on the path of liberation, we should have a knowledge. What is the second one? The second one is reflection. reflection. According to knowledge, we have to reflect on it again and again. Not only you are here. Now, you are getting knowledge here. We meet once a week. But during this week, you have to reflect on it again and again, as you mentioned before. How we practice it. Then sometimes you may ask that, is only one day to practice here? No, we discuss only one day, but you have to practice 7 days until next week. And reflect on it again and again, what you are listening to. And not only reflection, but we have to practice it throughout our life. This is the very practicable path. Not only knowledge. Buddhism is not just a philosophy. You know, there are philosophers in the world. They discuss a lot of things. After a big debate, they go down, they go away. They have nothing to practice. But this path is not like that. We have a path to practice in our everyday life. We can't say that we have no time to practice. We should have time to only listening to message. Practicing Dhamma, practicing this message is like our breathing in and out. When we are going to breathe in and out, we don't waste our life. While we are living, we breathe in and out automatically. We have only thing that mindfulness. If we have mindfulness, then we have enough time to practice this Dhamma. The highest meditation technique in Buddhism is breathing meditation. Inhalation and exhalation. We have to add mindfulness to our breathing. If we can breathe in and out with mindfulness, then every moment we are in a meditation session. Whether you work or cook or drive or anything that you do, if you can focus your mind around the nose with mindfulness, then you are in meditation. And the special thing that Buddhism has explained how to overcome delusion. Delusion is the main reason that suffering arises. What's the delusion? What is the ignorance that Buddhism says? Yes, when we think something, when you remember something that you experienced before, for example, when somebody has helped you, what happens to your mind? You are grateful. You go to that real experience. When somebody has blamed you, as soon as you remember that incident, what happens to you? You may get angry. What is the reason? Yes, you don't not only remember that incident, your mind immediately goes to past and your mind fixed in that experience. That is why we suffer. Buddha says, a person can blame you once when you are ignorant. You are blamed again and again by yourself. A person can blame you once because of ignorance or delusion. We are blamed again and again. Sometimes that person has forgotten everything, but still we are living the past experience. We are burning. And for that, what should we do? If we want to overcome ignorance or delusion, what should we do? What is the path? Mr. Selvan.
Meditation.
Yes, how do we practice meditation? What should we practice in meditation?
Mindfulness being the first.
Yes, very good. mindfulness we practice in meditation. We train our mind to live in the present moment. We practice mindfulness. What is the mindfulness? We train our mind to be aware of. It doesn't mean that we forget our past or future. We can remember anything which happened in the past. We can imagine anything that we are going to future. But we do everything with consciousness, awareness, mindfulness. When we remember something, when you remember something who passed away recently, what happens to you? You may be suffering, you may be crying, because you may think that incident, you live in the past experience with that person. But if we are mindful, if we keep our full attention in the present moment, with mindfulness we remember that incident. But our mind is not fixed in that experience. We remember that experience, we know very well, now I read my mind, not the real incident. For example, we usually get the same example. When you go to the mirror, before you came here, you went to the mirror. You saw your reflection in the mirror. When you went to the mirror, you see your reflection in the mirror. That reflection arises at the moment as soon as you went to the mirror. When you move from the mirror, immediately that reflection ceases. But you can remember it. For example, when I get a picture with you, photo with you, then I give the picture to you. As soon as I give the picture to you, what do you see? First, what do you see? First, you see where I am. When we see many people in the same photo, first of all, we look at where I am. Then you can recognize you. How do you recognize your face?
You see in the mirror.
Yes, we have seen our figure, our reflection in the mirror. If we haven't seen a mirror, we can identify our picture. When you recognize your picture in the photo, is your reflection in the mirror yet? No. Your reflection is not in the mirror when you see your photo. Where is it? It is in your mind. You have some kind of idea how I am. That is why you recognize the photo that you see. Our whole experience also like that. When you remember something, when you think something that you experienced before, at that moment, that incidents are not in outside. It is one of the abilities of your mind. You can remember something that you experience in this life. Actually, when we develop our mindfulness, we can remember not only this short life, we can remember even when we were in mother's womb. Not only mother's womb, actually, according to Buddhism, we can see a lot of births that we happened in our previous lives. We can remember millions of lives in our past if we develop our mindfulness. But we remember everything with mindfulness. Therefore, we have no suffering. When you remember your reflection which was in the mirror, you never get angry. You never get suffering. Because you know very well now, at the moment, your reflection is not in the mirror. And also, That reflection arises when we go to the mirror. When we go away, immediately without remaining anything, the reflection ceases. Our whole experience also like that. When you remember your parents, your siblings, your house, your car, what you remember? Just now experience? No. When you remember your house, if you think the present house, you may have an ability to say that now who are there? Now we can say it. Now we remember the incidents that we experienced before. At that moment, we read our mind. That is one of the abilities of our mind. But because of delusion or ignorance, as soon as we remember something, our mind goes to the real experience. That is why suffering arises. Throughout, by practicing Buddhist meditation, we try to practice mindfulness, keeping our mind, awareness, our mind in the present moment. And also, not only mindfulness, but with concentrated mind, we reflect on impermanence. That is one of the ways that we practice meditation. As I mentioned before, in Buddhist meditation way, we practice in one side mindfulness. We try to train our mind to live in the present moment with mindfulness by practicing samatha meditation, tranquility meditation. And also keeping our mind in the present moment, we reflect on impermanence, the experience as it is. What is the nature of our experience that we receive through our senses? The experience that we receive arises at the moment. We usually get an example like this sound. This sound was not here before you heard. After you heard this sound, it doesn't remain. This sound arises at the moment. And our whole experience also like that. When you see something, when you smell something, when you think something, those all experience also like that. The experience arises at the moment. But because of our ignorance, we think that before we experience it was here, after experience it remains. That is why suffering arises. By practicing meditation, in one side, we trained our mind to live in the present moment. On the other side, we reflect on the impermanence. What happens to our experience? We have only one experience at once. When you think your vehicle, your entire life at the moment is your vehicle. When you think your parents, at that moment your entire life is parents. At that moment you haven't even your physical body. When you think your pet, at that moment your entire life is your pet. That experience arises at the moment. It is not permanent. It is impermanent. What is the nature of permanent or impermanent?
Change.
Yes, one of the qualities of impermanence is changing, but not only changing. But we usually say that impermanence is like changing, but changing and impermanence, are different. Understanding of changing is easy. Now we are gradually going to old age. We are going to find in a stick. We are going to find in a cemetery. That is changing. this building someday may be destroyed. That is changing. Our mind always changes. That is changing. Even scientists have discovered the changing. They have divided atoms, and also they have understood electron, proton, neutron. They are changing. That is changing. That is not difficult to understand. What is the impermanence that Buddhism says? This sound, this experience arises this moment. Not only changing. We can say, this finger changed, my mind changed, the air changed. It can be realized by anyone. But this sound arises when conditions are together. For example, when we do this sound arises because of these reasons. When table is here, pen is here, my effort, my sound, my consciousness, when all things are together, I experience a sound. This sound arises at the moment. Can you understand the difference between changing and impermanence? For example, when we go to the mirror, that reflection arises at the moment. It was not here before we experience. On the other side, that reflection doesn't belong to reflection. That reflection doesn't belong to light. That reflection even doesn't belong to me. Without these reasons, the reflection doesn't arise. Even though the reflection doesn't arise without reasons, these reasons don't belong to experience. For example, this sound arises because of table, because of pen, because of my effort. But this sound doesn't belong to table. This sound doesn't belong to pen. This sound doesn't belong to my mind. This sound doesn't belong to my ears. Because of these reasons, sound arises, but the reasons don't belong to experience. When we see something, because of our eyes, because of our consciousness, because of this light, because of our consciousness, we experience this picture. But this picture doesn't belong to anything. Our whole experience also like that. What we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we touch, whatever we experience through our six senses, it's like that. By practicing insight meditation or impermanence, we reflect on this reality again and again. For that, as Mr. Selvan said, first of all, we should know the way how suffering arises. Knowledge is very important. Not only knowledge, but according to knowledge, we have to reflect on it again and again, whenever we are awakened. And practice what we should practice. We should practice mindfulness and insight. Before we practice meditation, it is very useful that we have a good discipline in our speech and behavior. If we have no good discipline in our speech and behavior, it is unable to practice meditation and having results. That is why knowledge is very important. Reflection also very important. Practice. What is practice? There are three disciplines that we practice. They are virtue for discipline, and concentration, and wisdom. In this handout, everything is here. When you read this handout, you can find. Actually, if you get a short note, that is also very important. That is your own note. Then it is very clear if you can read something in your hands. And in this way, actually, the main goal that Buddhism has explained to overcome ignorance. Ignorance is the main reason that suffering arises. We all like to overcome suffering. If we want to overcome suffering, we should keep our full attention, awareness in the present moment. Whenever we experience, whenever we think, we can remember. We can arrange anything in the future, but we do everything with consciousness, awareness, mindfulness. And if we can keep full attention in the present moment, it means mindfulness. Buddhism has appreciated a lot about practice in mindfulness. Buddhism says, practice in mindfulness is the only way to liberation, purification of beings. Practice in mindfulness is the only way to overcome suffering. Practice in mindfulness is the only way to achieve enlightenment. Mindfulness is the only way to gain wisdom. Mindfulness is the only way to overcome sorrow, lamentation, pain, and suffering. Our success, our proficiency, our skillfulness depends on how far we have developed our mindfulness. As we mentioned before, if we can keep our attention, awareness for a long time with a concentrated mind, it means we are clever. It is like our GPA. Train our mind again and again, keeping our attention in the present moment. Then we can see our beauty. At that moment, we are away from anger. We are away from greed. We are away from ignorance. Not only we practice mindfulness, but with concentrated mind, we reflect on impermanence. When our mind is concentrated, we think, we reflect on as we listening to. And if we can overcome these three things, we are so clever that we can overcome the challenges that we have in front of us. What are the main challenges as we mentioned before? Decay, death, and rebirth. When our mind is concentrated in the present moment with reflecting on impermanence at that moment, we don't feel our age. We don't feel our death. Even we don't feel our physical illnesses. Even though we have a very serious disease in our physical body, at that moment we don't feel it. For example, when you have a headache, now you are crying. While you are crying with a headache, if your close relative or friend is coming to meet you, what happens to you? What happens to your headache? It disappears. But still you have pain, but you don't feel it. Because that person is coming to meet you, hanging a lot of things to you. You are so happy, you run and appreciate that person, then your pain has gone away. You know, this practicing mindfulness and wisdom is not like that. That is so huge. That is a very, very strong, powerful spirit in our mind. At that moment, there are some stories in Buddhist tradition. Sometimes there are some lay people like you who practice Dhamma. Like, it is a very special lady that Mallika, Mrs. Mallika, who lived in Buddha's time. And while he was offering some foods to monks, Buddhist monks, she got a news that her all children, he had children, all are boys, and her children and her beloved husband were killed in the battlefield. When she heard that news, actually she didn't get upset. At that moment, she could overcome suffering. Actually, we also have the same incidents. We also have the same situations in our life. Anytime the news can come to us that our beloved relative is dead. At that moment, if we have developed our mind with spirituality, actually we can face any kind of challenges in our life without fear, without pain, without sorrow, lamentation and suffering. This is the thing, this is the ability that Buddhism points out to develop in our life. Throughout Buddhist meditation, we train our mind again and again to live in the present moment. There are a lot of meditation techniques like loving kindness meditation, breathing meditation, contemplating on Buddha's quality meditation. Like there are 40 meditation techniques in Buddhism that we can train our mind in mindfulness. By practicing any kind of meditation, at the very beginning, we try to train our mind to live in the present moment, keep our mind in the present moment. And with concentrated mind in the present moment, we reflect on impermanence. When we see something, when we hear something, that experience arises at the moment. And immediately it ceases. When we have this understanding, don't worry. Sometimes you may think that we can do our jobs, we can do our studies, we can do our responsibilities for our children. Don't worry, actually we do more things after this experience than we did before. Now you feed your children and your parents only with food and material things. After this experience, you feed your children and relatives with food for mind, not food for belly. The highest food that we should give to a person is food for mind, not only food for belly. And that is why Buddhism says, Sabbadanan Dhammadanan Jinati. Giving Dhamma, giving this message excels all other gifts. Gift of Dhamma. Dhamma means the doctrines, the practice that we have to practice. Giving Dhamma excels all other gifts. And, if we have this understanding, there was a very special monk in Buddha's time, Reverend Sariputta, who was one of the chief disciples of the Buddha. He listened this message from another disciple, and after he attained enlightenment, every day when he went to sleep, he searched, where is Bhante who explained this message to me? And if that person was near to him, he went and worshipped that person. And if that person was far away, then at that moment he worshipped that direction, and when he slept, he put his head to that direction because of his gratitude. Actually, we are so grateful to that person who explained this message to us if we experience, if we get the result. After we get experience results throughout practicing this Dhamma, we are so grateful because we have overcome suffering. That is why Buddhism says it is very easy to win hundreds of enemies in the battlefield, but it is not difficult. What is the difficult thing? If you can overcome, if you can win ignorance, if you can defeat ignorance from your mind, that is the highest victory in our life. Defeating hundreds of enemies in the battlefield is easy. It is not difficult, but the special thing which is difficult to overcome, ignorance. Those are the real enemies. Greed, anger, and delusion are the real enemies, because the outside enemies can destroy only our physical body, but these inner enemies destroy our spirituality, our mind. Then it causes us to live a lot of births in down realms like hell. Outside enemies can do only destroy our physical body in this life, but these inner enemies, craving, anger and delusion, cause us to live for a long time in down levels. That is why we have to overcome these enemies. As much as we are able to overcome greed, anger and delusion, actually we can be happy, we can develop our happiness. We can see the beauty of our life. If we can live in the present moment, actually, for example, if you can look at this around this hall, like the heaven. If you can keep your attention in this moment, actually you are like in the heaven. When you drive your car, if your mind is in the present moment, you can see the beauty of your vehicle, dashboard. There are a lot of lights there, but you have no patience to look at those things, because we are thinking something which happened in the past or future. We are thinking something with greed and anger. Even we have no time to see our physical body, our beauty of our clothes. We are thinking other things. If we can develop the ability of mindfulness, living in the present moment, actually we can develop our happiness. Throughout meditation, by practicing Buddhist meditation, in one side we practice mindfulness. And also our mind can be divided into two. One of them is mind or consciousness. The other thing is mental formation. By practicing mindfulness, we develop our consciousness. And by practicing insight meditation, vipassana meditation, by reflecting on impermanence, we develop mental formation. Then these both things cannot be divided. Both of them are together, like coffee and water. We can divide coffee and water, tea and water. Both of them are together. These things are like that, coffee and water. And always, if we can develop our ability, skillfulness, the only thing that we have to do, develop in mindfulness. And Buddhist meditation techniques help us to develop our mindfulness. And not only sit in meditation, whatever we do with awareness, keeping our attention around the nose, Keeping our attention in this area, if we do anything, then at that moment we develop our mindfulness. But sometimes when we do something, for example, when you cook something in the kitchen, while you are cutting something, you are thinking something. Your mind is another way, and you are here. Your physical body is here. And if we can keep both of them together, keeping your attention around the nose, you can cut it, you can prepare your food while you are practicing mindfulness. When you pray something, when you recite some stanzas, but usually our mind goes here and there. Our monkey mind goes here and there. And if we can keep our full attention at the moment, then while we are praying some stanzas, Itipiso Bhagavaraham, every word we speak with consciousness, then we develop our mindfulness. And when we develop mindfulness, Buddhism says, we should have not only mindfulness. Mindfulness is the center. If we start practicing mindfulness with knowledge, then we have effort, energy. Because, when we practice meditation, we can see the results. Our happiness increases. When happiness increases, our dedication, energy, courage gradually increases. Because we are hurried to see the results. We don't waste our life. And we don't do useless things in our life. We do very important things, very valuable things in our life. We have energy, and also when we practice mindfulness, our mind gradually concentrates. Concentration or tranquility. Concentration means we have an ability to keep our mind for a long time in the same object. Our mind doesn't go here and there. We control it, we train it to keep in the particular object. And when our mind is concentrated, with concentrated mind, we reflect on impermanence. It is said in Buddhism, wisdom. And as much as our wisdom increases, our confidence in Buddha's enlightenment gradually increases. Confidence. Confidence. What kind of confidence that increases in our mind? Confidence in Buddha's enlightenment. Buddha is not a particular person. We respect as Buddha his enlightenment, his understanding. And Buddha says very clearly, whether a Buddha appears or not in the world, this reality is forever. Buddha's message doesn't belong to Buddhist. Buddha's message doesn't belong to even Buddha. That message doesn't belong to any particular person or group. This message doesn't belong to those who are intelligent. Because this is a discovery. This is not a creation. The message that Buddha explained is not a creation. It is a discovery. It is like water, gems, jewelries. They are not creations. They are discoveries. Buddha says very clearly, whether a Buddha appears or not in the world, this reality is forever. Wisdom is natural. Ignorance is not natural. Because this is wisdom. Wisdom is natural. It doesn't belong to anybody. It is natural. We have to experience it. And then it is our close friend. Buddha says, mindfulness should be our close friend. Whenever we are away from mindfulness, it means we are away from our best friend. Whenever we are with mindfulness, it means we are with our best friend. And these 5 things are our real property. This is our real property. This is our dowry. This is our wealth. When we have mindfulness, our concentration gradually increases, wisdom increases, energy, dedication increases, and confidence. Confidence is not just a blind faith. It is an understandable confidence. And sometimes there were some disciples who attained enlightenment in Buddha's time. Actually, they didn't even worship Buddha. After they listening to Buddha's message, they immediately enlightened and they went out. They didn't even worship Buddha. Buddha didn't accept their respect. Buddha didn't want it. And this is the thing that we should develop, and day by day, if we can increase these qualities, actually that is the way how we can show our skillfulness in the society. And not only we have to show it, but we have a confidence, we have an inner peace. Then we are so happy. It means always we try to be independent. Now we are dependent on outside. We are dependent on our children, our relatives, our physical body. When our physical body is so beautiful, we are so happy. When we are going to old age, we are unhappy. But if we are with this wealth, then it doesn't matter whether we are young or old. And because our attitude, our vision is in the highest level. And when we reflect on impermanence always, then we know very well, as soon as we experience something, we know very well that experience arises at the moment. And it doesn't mean that we don't fulfill our duties and responsibilities. Actually, we do everything. Even though you have this vision, you don't go away from your day-to-day life responsibilities. You do it. But you don't trust in outside. Your real peace in mind depends on this attitude, this understanding, this wisdom. That is why day by day we go away from suffering, and day by day we go on the path of liberation. It means finally, with this understanding, as soon as we remember something, we think something, we know very well this emotion, experience, this moment. And immediately it ceases. If our mind is completely in this understanding, at that moment we have overcome diseases, pain, sorrow, suffering, old age, decay, death, even rebirth. And for that we have dedicated our time. Our life is so valuable, so important. Our life goes very fast, and as an intelligent person, we should get the result throughout our life. Not only earning money, not only feeding our children and our relatives, but if we like ourselves, we have to develop our mind. Mind is the forerunner. Mind is the chief of all states. If we do something with wicked mind, the suffering comes us. Mind is the forerunner. Mind is the chief. If we do something with pure mind, good results come to us. Happiness comes to us. Therefore, in this situation, Buddha said, Sabba papa sakarana, not to do any evil. Don't give any chance to anybody to disturb your mind, disturb your peace of mind. and there are a lot of robbers and enemies who are waiting to steal your inner qualities, your peace of mind. If you can create a very strong spiritual mind, they can't steal your inner qualities that you have earned in your life, hardly. And also not only giving chance to them, not only not giving chance to them, but we have to develop positive thoughts, generosity, loving kindness, and especially wisdom. Kusala Supasambhada, doing good, and purify one's mind. Again and again we purify our mind from negative thoughts, from anger, from greed, from delusion. Again and again we purify our mind. Every moment we dedicate how we overcome these negative thoughts from our mind. Especially practicing meditation is very important. At the very beginning, Buddha has explained practicing loving kindness is one of the fundamental meditation techniques that we can practice in our day-to-day life. On the path of liberation, practicing loving kindness is one of the signs that we can see that we are on the path of liberation. If we don't practice loving kindness meditation, it means we haven't entered the path of liberation. Practicing loving kindness is the very first step that we enter to the liberation, the path of liberation. Have you any question? You can ask. Have you any question about this discussion?
No.
Okay. Actually today I have decided to explain other topic, but I changed it because of you, and I prepared another article for you. And here we discuss actually very primary things in Buddhism. These are not the deep ones that when somebody comes to our class first time, we usually explain these things. And when you participate to the class continuously, you can develop your understanding. And actually it is very important to know many ways that we can practice. For example, if you know only one way to go to LA, when that path is traffic, you have no options. When you know many ways to go to LA, then when one way is traffic, then you have options. Understanding of Dhamma also like that. You know, when we enter to, there are 4 steps in liberation that Buddhism has explained. And there are 4 steps. When we enter to this first way, you know how many ways there are. There are 1,000 ways to enter the path. 1,000 ways. And day by day we discuss some kind of ways, paths that we can practice to liberation. And if you participate to the class and if you are here, we can discuss something more and more. And also not only doing discussions, but during this week we have to practice it again and again. At least 10 minutes per day. Try to practice meditation. More practice, more results. More results, more happiness. No practice, no results, no happiness. And if you can increase the duration that you practice meditation, you can see more results. Okay, for that I wish you all the best. Okay, thank you. Thank for your participation. You are welcome. Now, end of the sermon, we usually transfer the merits to our departed relatives. That is one of our customs. After we do any kind of activity, meritorious act, we transfer merits to our departed relatives. Because in this moment we generated a lot of positive thoughts. By the power of those energies, we wish our departed relatives. We believe that with pure mind, if we think our departed relatives, they also can rejoice with our activities, with our emotions. Then they also can increase their spiritual energy. They can achieve better lives. In that situation now, we are going to transfer these merits to our beloved departed relatives. Those who wish some merits and good emotions from us, may they rejoice with these merits and may they enhance their spiritual energy. May they also attain final bliss of liberation. With that intention, let's transfer these merits to our departed relatives too. Idam me ñāti nam hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nam hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nam hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. By the power of all these merits, may guardian deities and angels also receive these merits, and may they enhance their spiritual energy. May they keep their eye on you too. May they also attain final bliss of liberation. With that intention, let's transfer these merits to guardian deities and angels too. Recite in the stanza. Ākāsattā ca bummattā devā nāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā chiraṃ rakkhantu sāsanam. Ākāsattā ca bummattā devā nāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā chiraṃ rakkhantu desanam. Ākāsattā ca bummattā devā nāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā chiraṃ rakkhantu tvaṃ sadā. By the power of all these merits, may you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you. May no problems come to you. May no difficulties come to you. May your all righteous wishes meet with success. May all of us attain final bliss of liberation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dukkhaṃ pantā ca nirdukkhaṃ, bhayam pantā ca nirbhayam, sokam pantā ca nissokam, hanto sambe pipanino. All the blessings be with you.